History is filled with tales of heroism and tragedy, but sometimes the stories that stick with us the most are the ones that are just unsettling. World War II, a conflict that engulfed the entire globe, has more than its fair share of these eerie, hard-to-explain events. Today, we're diving into 3 of the creepiest true stories from that era. These aren't just ghost tales. They're documented events that will leave you with a serious case of the chills. So dim the lights and let's get started. Our first story takes us to the skies over Europe, where Allied bomber crews faced unimaginable dangers. But for the crews of the British Royal Air Force and the American Army Air Forces, the enemy wasn't just anti-aircraft fire and enemy fighters. They had another, more mysterious threat to contend with: the Foo Fighters. No, not the band. Long before Dave Grohl picked up a guitar, Foo Fighters was the name given to strange, glowing orbs of light that would suddenly appear and fly alongside their bombers. These objects were described as fiery red, orange, or white lights that would zip around the planes with incredible speed and agility, far beyond the capabilities of any known aircraft at the time. They would pace the bombers, sometimes individually, sometimes in formations, before vanishing as quickly as they appeared. What's so creepy about this? Well, these lights never showed any aggression. They never fired a shot. They just watched. Imagine you're a young pilot, thousands of feet in the air, in the dead of night, deep in enemy territory. Your senses are on high alert. Suddenly, a bright, silent ball of light materializes off your wing. It dances and weaves around your aircraft, seemingly playing with you. It doesn't show up on radar. Your gunners can't get a lock on it. You try to outmaneuver it, but it matches your every move effortlessly. Then it just disappears into the blackness. Pilots from both the Allied and Axis sides reported these encounters. The Allies initially suspected it was a new secret German weapon, some kind of psychological warfare designed to spook them. Meanwhile, the Germans thought it was a new Allied surveillance device. Both sides investigated, but neither could figure out what these things were. The official explanation, or lack thereof, was inconclusive. Some reports tried to write it off as static electricity, reflections off ice crystals, or St. Elmo's fire. But the pilots who saw them, seasoned airmen who knew the sky better than their own homes, were convinced they were witnessing something else entirely. Something intelligently controlled. The phenomenon remains one of the great unsolved mysteries of the war, a silent, glowing enigma that haunted the skies. From the skies, we now go beneath the waves, to the cold, crushing depths of the Atlantic. Our next story involves a German U-boat, UB-65. Submarines are inherently creepy places, cramped, claustrophobic metal tubes surrounded by immense pressure. But UB-65 had a reputation for being more than just uncomfortable. It was said to be cursed. The trouble started before it even left the shipyard. During its construction, a heavy girder fell, killing 2 workers instantly. Just before its first sea trials, a toxic fume leak in the engine room killed 3 more crew members. Things only got worse. During one of its early dives, a seawater leak flooded the battery compartment, creating poisonous chlorine gas that filled the sub. The crew barely managed to surface, but several were left with permanent health issues. It seemed like death was woven into the very steel of the vessel. But the real haunting began with the death of the sub's second-in-command. During a torpedo loading drill, a warhead inexplicably detonated on deck. The officer and several others were killed instantly. Shortly after, the surviving crew members began to see something terrifying. They reported seeing the ghost of the dead officer standing on the bow of the sub, his arms crossed. He would just stand there, silently, staring. The sightings became so frequent and so distressing that the crew's morale plummeted. One sailor reportedly went mad after seeing the apparition and jumped overboard, lost to the sea. The story gets even stranger. Another crewman, a gunner, claimed to have seen the ghost just before a watch duty. Terrified, he deserted his post. His replacement, who took over the watch, was washed overboard by a freak wave moments later. The ghost was seen by so many different men, including the captain, that it couldn't be dismissed as a simple sailor's yarn. The German High Command, concerned about the sub's complete lack of effectiveness and the crew's psychological state, ordered an exorcism. A priest was brought on board to bless the vessel. For a while, it seemed to work. The sightings stopped. But the curse of UB-65 wasn't finished. On July 10, 1918, an American submarine, the L-2, was on patrol off the coast of Ireland when its crew spotted a German U-boat sitting motionless on the surface. It was UB-65. As the American sub prepared to fire its torpedoes, the German U-boat was suddenly torn apart by a massive internal explosion. It sank instantly, taking its entire crew with it. No one knows what caused the final fatal explosion. The American sub never fired a shot. Was it a technical malfunction? A stray mine? Or did the ghost of the dead officer have one final tragic act to play out? The official record is a mystery, but the legend of the haunted U-boat UB-65 lives on as a chilling reminder of the psychological horrors of war. For our final story, we travel to the desolate, frozen landscape of the Eastern Front, a place of unimaginable brutality and suffering. This story isn't about a ghost or a UFO, but something perhaps even more disturbing: the Angel of the White Death. This isn't about Simo Hiei, the famous Finnish sniper. This is something far more sinister. The story comes from the memoirs of German soldiers who fought in the brutal winters of Russia. They tell of a strange and terrifying figure they would encounter during the relentless blizzards that swept across the plains. Lost and disoriented soldiers, separated from their units in the whiteout conditions, would sometimes see a figure emerge from the swirling snow. It was described as a woman, or something that looked like one, dressed entirely in white. According to the accounts, she would appear to be a beautiful young Russian woman. She would beckon to the freezing, desperate soldiers, promising them warmth, food, and shelter in a nearby village. For a soldier on the brink of freezing to death, this vision was a literal angel of salvation. They would eagerly follow her, stumbling through the deep snow, their hope renewed. But the relief was always short-lived. The woman would lead them not to a warm village, but to a secluded spot and ambush point for Soviet partisans. As the German soldiers let their guard down, thinking they were safe, hidden Soviet fighters would emerge from the snow and slaughter them. The beautiful woman in white would simply watch and then vanish back into the blizzard as mysteriously as she had appeared. What makes this so creepy is the consistency of the reports from different soldiers and different units across a vast front. Was she a real person? A highly effective and terrifyingly clever partisan fighter using psychological tactics? Or was she something else? A local legend? A spirit of the frozen steppe taking revenge on the invaders? The German soldiers who survived these encounters were convinced she was more than human. They called her the Angel of the White Death, a phantom who used their desperation against them, turning the promise of life into a gruesome, frozen death trap. The story was never officially confirmed, of course. It exists in the realm of soldier folklore. But in the brutal and often surreal environment of the Eastern Front, where reality itself seemed to break down, the line between a human enemy and a supernatural one could become terrifyingly blurred. It's a testament to how war can create its own monsters, both real and imagined. And there you have it, 3 truly creepy stories from the Second World War. From mysterious lights in the sky, to a haunted submarine, to a phantom luring soldiers to their doom. These events show that even in a conflict defined by human actions, there are corners where the unexplained and the unsettling lurk. They remind us that sometimes the scariest things are the ones we can't fight, can't understand, and can't explain away. What do you think? Are these just products of stress and wartime hysteria? Or is there something more to them? Let me know your theories in the comments below. If you found these stories as fascinating and chilling as I did, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more dives into the strange and mysterious side of history. Thanks for watching, and stay safe out there.